My name is Savannah. I'm 28, and last weekend I watched my sister Madison's wedding implode in real time from my living room in Seattle. You can watch the wedding online, my parents said, after our fight. They tried to make it sound like a compromise, a way to keep the peace. But we all knew what it really meant. So I did. I dressed up. I poured myself a glass of wine. I even lit candles like it was some twisted viewing party. And for a while, it was exactly what I expected. Elegant guests, a perfect backdrop, Madison glowing like she had just stepped off the cover of Modern Bride. The stream was crystal clear, high-definition perfection. Until it wasn't. Because at 6:14 p.m. Pacific time, my screen froze. Not on a toast or a kiss or some picture-perfect moment. It froze on Madison's face. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open, bouquet slipping from her hand, while behind her, glasses shattered, voices shouted, and everything, fell apart. It looked like a movie still, one of those split-second frames right before the explosion hits. Before I tell you what happened, how my sister's fairy tale wedding turned into a social media cautionary tale, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe if you like family drama so wild it makes yours look tame. Because trust me, this story has everything. The perfect daughter, the perfect groom, a secret video, an uninvited guest. A prenup no one was supposed to see. And me. The sister they asked to watch from a distance. Turns out that was the best seat in the house. Madison and I were never the kind of sisters who shared clothes or whispered secrets under the covers. We were the kind that shared a roof and a last name, but lived in different worlds. She was 3 years older, with sleek hair, straight A's, and a voice that could charm any room into liking her. Our parents used words like driven and elegant when they talked about Madison. Me? I got spirited. Creative. Hard to follow. When we were kids, our bedroom was split down the middle like a Cold War border. Her side had ballet slippers lined up like trophies, shelves of perfectly folded sweaters, and a whiteboard calendar color-coded by day. Mine was an explosion of sketch pads, fairy lights, and paint-stained jeans. She got ready for cotillion. I got grounded for sneaking out to open mic night. She won the student council elections. I won most likely to get lost on purpose. Still, it wasn't all bad. We had our moments. During our parents' rough patch, we'd huddle on the roof outside her bedroom window, passing a pint of cookie dough ice cream and talking about what we'd do when we got out of that house. But those moments were like postcards from a different country. Beautiful, but far away. After college, I moved to Seattle for a UX design job. My dream role, my own apartment, my fresh start. Madison stayed close to home in Charlottesville. She joined our dad's real estate firm, started dating Ethan Brooks, a polished Ivy League finance guy, and fell neatly into the role of the daughter who made all the right choices. When she got engaged, it was the kind of thing our town buzzed about. Ethan came from money. Real money. Old family foundations, political connections, a grandmother who had her own line of perfume. Madison fit into their world like she was made for it. She texted me when the wedding planning began. "It's going to be classy but warm," she wrote. "Black tie, but with personality." I wasn't sure where I fit into that, but I played along. I sent thumbs ups to dress photos, heart reacted to cake tastings, even responded beautiful to a chandelier rental that cost more than my monthly rent. Then the invitation arrived, cream envelope, gold lettering, thick enough to feel expensive. Inside, a handwritten note. "Sav, I hope you can still watch the live stream. Your seat will be saved in spirit. Love, M." There was no mention of being a bridesmaid, no flight offer, no real space for me. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't invited to be part of her big day. I was invited to be an audience. I stared at that note for a long time. "No, we'd love to have you. No, please come home." Just a cold, clean suggestion to watch from afar like a distant relative or a forgotten friend. Still, I tried. I called Madison the next day, told her I'd love to come even if I wasn't standing beside her. I figured maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she thought I wouldn't want to fly across the country just for one weekend. Maybe there was still space for me. But that hope cracked about 2 minutes into the conversation. The guest list is already, tight, she said carefully. It's not a reflection of how I feel about you. I didn't say anything because I knew it was exactly that. Then came the real blow when I asked if I could at least come to the rehearsal dinner or even help with something small. Madison hesitated. Well, we've already assigned those roles. Honestly, Savannah, it might be less stressful for everyone if you watched from home. It's just easier. There it was. Easier. For them. My mom chimed in later that night with her version of support. The dresses are very fitted, she said gently in that sugar-coated way she always reserved for criticism. You know, I sent you that article about slimming for special events. Just an idea. I hung up before I could say something I'd regret. Then Dad called. The eternal mediator. No hard feelings, he said, voice low. We're having the ceremony professionally streamed for Grandma June and a few others who can't travel. You can watch it online, too. I said sure. Why not? I was tired of pushing to be part of something that clearly didn't want me. So I leaned into it. If I couldn't be there, I'd at least turn it into something ceremonial on my end. I bought a navy dress, the one I would have worn if I were invited. I cleaned my apartment, lit candles, set out a cheese board like I was hosting my own personal reception. I even chilled a bottle of Prosecco I'd been saving for something special. Because even if I wasn't wanted, I still wanted to see her happy. I told myself I was being mature, supportive, grown up. But the truth? I felt like I was preparing to attend my own rejection in high definition. The live stream was scheduled to begin 30 minutes before the ceremony. At exactly 2:30 p.m. Charlottesville time, I clicked the link. At first, the screen was blank. Just the faint sound of wind and birdsong. Then, slowly, the image sharpened, revealing a vineyard estate so pristine it looked like a film set. Rows of white chairs arched around a floral arbor bursting with soft pink and ivory roses. Tall glass vases shimmered in the sun. Everything looked expensive. The camera panned to the arriving guests. I spotted a few familiar faces. Old family friends, Ethan's colleagues, our childhood dentist. Everyone dressed to impress. Women in floor-length gowns, men in tailored tuxedos. And right there, seated in the front row, were my parents. Mom, flawless as ever in a slate gray gown, dabbing at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Dad sat stiffly beside her, tugging at his collar like it might strangle him. Neither of them looked particularly joyful. The feed then cut to the bridal suite. There was Madison, sitting at a vintage vanity, her hair twisted into a sleek chignon, her veil carefully arranged by a stylist. She looked breathtaking, classic, like the kind of bride who gets featured in magazines. But I saw something else too. Beneath the layers of perfection, her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. In the background, her bridesmaids fluttered around like pastel butterflies. All matching robes, all anxious smiles, all except one. Layla, the maid of honor. She stood near the window, her phone clenched tightly in both hands. Her brow furrowed, her lips moving silently like she was talking herself down from something. Madison glanced at her reflection and spoke quietly. Layla, everything okay? Layla jumped. Yes, just checking the time. We're right on schedule. Their eyes met in the mirror. There was a pause. Then Madison nodded once and turned back to the stylist. But I caught it, that flicker of doubt in my sister's eyes. The stream cut to the groom's suite. Ethan and his groomsmen were laughing about something I couldn't hear. He tossed back a shot while his best man clapped him on the back. His suit was perfect, his hair styled immaculately, but something about him felt far away. A woman I didn't recognize entered the room. Sharp suit, platinum blonde bob. She looked expensive. She wasn't a guest. She was there on business. She pulled Ethan aside. Their voices were low, but the camera picked up her gestures. A pointed finger, a quick glance at the door, a nod toward the camera. Ethan's face tightened. "Who is that?" I texted Olivia. Her response came seconds later. "Ethan's mom's advisor or something. She's been running the whole show. Controlling everything. It's insane." I glanced back at the screen. The advisor was now speaking to the wedding planner, who kept nodding like her job depended on it. Which, judging by the tension in her shoulders, it probably did. I leaned closer. Something was brewing. Then the feed glitched. Static and silence for almost 10 minutes. By the time it returned, guests were being seated. The string quartet began playing softly. I straightened my dress, hands gripping my wine glass. My stomach fluttered, not with excitement, but with dread. Because even through the screen, I could feel it. Something was off. The ceremony began like a painting come to life. Madison appeared at the top of the aisle on our father's arm, framed by soft golden light and a halo of flowers. Her dress shimmered with delicate beadwork, her veil floating like mist. From a distance, it was perfect, but I could tell she wasn't really breathing. Her smile was fixed, her eyes scanning the crowd with nervous urgency. I knew that look. She was searching for approval, probably from Ethan's family. The music swelled. People stood. The camera followed them as they made their way down the aisle. Dad kissed her cheek and stepped back. Madison took Ethan's hand. He looked composed, but I noticed a slight tremor in his fingers. He didn't look at her the way I imagined a man should look at his bride. The vows cut out again thanks to more live stream glitches. When the stream resumed, they were kissing. People clapped, confetti tossed, smiles all around. But the camera lingered on faces, some strained, others blank. And across the crowd, the division was stark. Our family sat together, reserved, quiet. Ethan's side looked like a corporate summit. Stiff suits and designer dresses. Everyone seated like it was a board meeting. I texted Olivia again. "Missed the vows. Everything okay?" Her reply? "Big fight last night. Ethan showed up late and drunk to the rehearsal. His mom tried to change the ceremony order this morning. Madison is cracking." The feed followed the wedding party across the vineyard to a picturesque stone bridge for formal photos. There, I saw the fracture clearly. The photographer kept positioning people like chess pieces. "Closer together like you actually know each other," she said with a forced laugh. The families barely moved. Layla stood to the side, checking her phone obsessively. At one point, Ethan's best man whispered something to her, and she pulled away sharply. Then the camera picked up something it probably shouldn't have. Ethan's mother, Vanessa, complaining just loud enough to be heard. "The centerpieces are overdone. No one will even notice the orchids. Waste of money." My mother, ever the diplomat, replied, "Madison chose them. It's her day." Vanessa snorted. "It's our son's day too. And we're footing the bill." Madison's jaw clenched. I saw her look from one woman to the other, caught like a pawn between queens. Ethan, meanwhile, adjusted his cufflinks and avoided eye contact altogether. The live stream cut again. When it came back, we were inside the reception hall. It looked like a fantasy. Soft pink uplighting. A cake the size of a small car. Hundreds of candles flickering against mirrored tabletops. Every guest had a custom-engraved menu card and crystal stemware. But the seating chart said everything. Our family was shoved off to the left side of the room. Ethan's family took the right. The head table sat between them like a demilitarized zone. I spotted Dad sitting beside Ethan's father. Both men looked deeply uncomfortable, neither speaking. Mom clutched her clutch like it might give her strength. Vanessa, on the other hand, laughed with her friends as if nothing was wrong. The best man got up to give his toast. He tapped a fork against his glass with a little too much force. He swayed slightly as he stood. So, I've known Ethan since college, back when he was, let's say, very social with the ladies. He began. A few people chuckled politely, but most froze. Just kidding, he added. Kind of. But seriously, Madison, you're getting a great guy. Just, maybe keep him away from Vegas and bottle service. I winced. The camera cut to Madison. Her smile was so tight it looked painful. Ethan raised his glass and downed it. Layla's toast came next. It was short, stiff, and almost exclusively addressed to Madison. She barely looked at Ethan. As the courses arrived, beef fillet, saffron risotto, gold-dusted desserts, the tension only grew. I watched Ethan drink steadily. I saw Madison whisper something to him. He rolled his eyes. Then, by the cake table, the camera caught a moment not meant for the audience. Vanessa pulled Madison aside. They argued, gestures small but intense. Madison excused herself and disappeared down the hall. Layla chased after her. A moment later, a server I didn't recognize entered from a side door. He handed Layla an envelope. She opened it. Her face went pale. She rushed to the wedding planner, who immediately glanced toward the DJ booth. I texted Olivia again. Something's happening. What's in that envelope? Her reply came fast. Don't know yet, but Layla's panicking. Something about a surprise presentation from Ethan's mom. Not on the schedule. And then, just as I reached for my glass, the DJ's voice rang out. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Brooks to the dance floor for their first dance. The camera followed Madison and Ethan as they took their place under the chandeliers. The lights dimmed, music began. But it wasn't the dance that would steal the show. It was what came after. Madison and Ethan swayed under the soft lights as the opening notes of their chosen song, You Are the Reason, played through the speakers. It should have been romantic. It should have been the moment the whole room melted into sighs and applause. Instead, Madison looked up at Ethan with something closer to a plea than a smile, while Ethan's eyes kept darting toward the entrance, toward someone or something not on that dance floor. When the music faded, the DJ spoke again. And now, a special surprise from the groom's family. Madison froze. This wasn't on the itinerary. It wasn't on the timeline she'd spent 6 months obsessively building. I knew that look. Wide eyes, stiff spine, jaw clenched just slightly. The lights dimmed again, and a projector screen descended slowly from the ceiling. Guests murmured in anticipation, their champagne flutes clinking as they shifted toward the screen. Vanessa took the mic with a smile so sharp it could slice glass. Marriage is a journey full of surprises, and we wanted to share a little piece of Ethan's journey with all of you today. She stepped aside. The music changed. Something upbeat, vintage Bruno Mars. A slideshow began, showing childhood pictures of Ethan. Baby photos, school portraits, soccer team shots. The room smiled, chuckled, clapped lightly, then the photos changed. Suddenly, Ethan wasn't a child anymore. He was a college student, arm wrapped tightly around a striking blonde. The same woman, again and again, in party photos, beach vacations, what looked like a New Year's Eve kiss. The crowd fell quiet. I leaned toward the screen. I didn't recognize her, but Madison sure did. The music shifted again. The blonde appeared more frequently now, more recently. At a Christmas gala dated just 4 months ago. On a ski trip with Ethan, time-stamped February, 2 months before the wedding. The room rippled with murmurs. And then, the final photo. It showed the blonde woman, this time alone, holding a white sign in flowing black script. Congratulations, Ethan. Call me when you're ready. Love always, Jasmine. The screen faded to black. Silence. I stared, paralyzed. I wasn't even in the room and I couldn't breathe. The camera cut to Madison. She hadn't moved. Still standing in the center of the dance floor, bouquet limp at her side, eyes fixed on the blank screen. Ethan didn't say a word. He didn't reach for her. Didn't explain. Then Madison turned to him. "Who?" she said, her voice steady and low. "Is Jasmine." Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, then swallowed hard. She's from college. It's nothing. It's just old pictures." But Vanessa was already stepping forward. "Jasmine Carlisle," she said almost proudly. "From the Carlisle family. They own Carlisle Maritime out of Boston. She and Ethan dated for years. They were practically engaged. It was a serious relationship until this rushed arrangement." "Rushed arrangement?" Madison repeated, blinking. "We've been engaged for over a year." "A year isn't long enough to determine compatibility for a family of our standing," Vanessa snapped. Jasmine understood our expectations. She came from the right kind of background. This wedding, this entire thing, was a compromise. "Mom!" Ethan barked. "Stop." But the damage was done. And then Madison's voice shifted. Soft, but with a tremble, like a string pulled too tight. "What compromise, Ethan?" No answer. She took a step back. "What else have you been compromising?" The camera caught Layla trying to reach Madison, whispering something in her ear. Madison's eyes widened. She looked past the camera, toward the entrance. And then she whispered into the mic, unintentionally but clearly captured. "She's here, isn't she?" The doors opened, and in walked Jasmine, wearing a floor-length red dress that shimmered like danger. Hair curled, lipstick perfect, eyes smug. She strolled in as if she were the bride, not the bombshell. Behind her, a man in a suit carried a leather folder. I didn't need to guess what was inside. Layla tried to intercept her. Jasmine brushed past with a smile that wasn't a smile at all. And just like that, Madison's perfect day, the day that had been planned to the inch, slipped off its rails entirely. The camera focused on her face just as the room descended into gasps. And then the live stream froze. Again, this time on Madison's expression. A face cracking down the center, caught between disbelief and devastation. For one long, breathless minute, the image stayed frozen. Madison's face caught mid-shock, bouquet slipping from her fingers, a blur of red silk just behind her as Jasmine made her grand entrance. I hit refresh. Nothing. Closed the browser, opened a new one. Still nothing. I stared at that single frame like it was a painting, every detail locked in place. My sister's wedding unraveling, suspended in time, and all I could do was watch. I texted Olivia. No answer. Called my mom. Straight to voicemail. Called my dad. Same. My hands were shaking. And then 20 minutes later, the stream sputtered back to life. What it showed looked nothing like the curated perfection of earlier. Tables were overturned. Someone was crying off camera. The DJ had abandoned his booth. And standing in the middle of it all, Jasmine, red dress radiant under the chandelier light, was speaking directly to Ethan. Her voice came through clearly, thanks to the still live mic on the table. "Your mother called me last week," she said calmly. "She said you were making a mistake, that you were doing this out of guilt, that you still loved me." Madison spun to face Vanessa. "You called her? You invited her here?" Vanessa didn't flinch. "I didn't invite her to ruin anything. I invited her because she was family once, and might be again." "Family?" Madison echoed, her voice rising. "What about me? I'm your son's wife." The lawyer who had entered with Jasmine stepped forward, holding up a leather folder. "We have some documents that need to be addressed," he said smoothly, "including the revised prenuptial agreement your client has not yet signed." "What prenup?" Madison snapped. She turned to Ethan, who looked like he was trying to disappear into his tux. You told me there wasn't going to be one. You promised. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. It's just paperwork. My parents insisted. I didn't think it mattered. You didn't think it mattered? Madison repeated, her voice cracking. I didn't want to scare you. You didn't want to scare me? Her tone was climbing now, breathless, furious. You've been sleeping with her. You've been lying about money. And you were planning to trap me into a contract I didn't agree to. You're being dramatic, Vanessa interjected. Madison turned on her. Don't you dare. And that's when it truly spiraled. My father stood from the head table. You're not laying a finger on my daughter with another one of your legal tricks. Ethan's father rose too. You'll want to choose your words carefully, Howard. Then Jasmine added with a smile that could curdle cream. For what it's worth, I always knew this would happen. Ethan always comes back. Madison's hand balled into a fist around her bouquet. She whispered, You think this is a win? And then, slowly, deliberately, she threw the bouquet straight at Ethan's chest. The flowers exploded on contact, white petals bursting like shrapnel. Gasps echoed, champagne glasses crashed. Layla stepped in to pull Madison away, but it was too late. Vanessa reached for the folder. Sign it now or everything goes public. Madison looked right at her, trembling. Let it. Burn it all down. And right then, the feed cut out again. No warning, no buffering, just black. But not before I saw my sister, eyes blazing, dress slightly torn, mascara streaking down her cheeks, finally stop being perfect. She didn't run. She stood her ground. The screen never came back. I sat there for hours, still in my navy dress, surrounded by cold cheese, melted chocolate, and a half-empty bottle of Prosecco, refreshing the browser like it could undo what I'd just witnessed. But all that remained was a frozen thumbnail of Madison mid-motion, bouquet flying, her world collapsing. I didn't sleep that night. At 2:47 a.m., Olivia finally called. Savannah, she whispered, like even over the phone, the chaos might hear us. It got worse after the live stream cut. My chest tightened. Is Madison okay? She's at your parents' house, safe now, but the police had to come. What? Ryan, Ethan's brother, tried to stop her from leaving. Your dad got involved. Shoving started. No arrests, but there were threats. And Ethan's family? They're scrambling. Lawyers, PR teams, the works. I closed my eyes and took a shaky breath. She looked at the camera, I said quietly. Right before it froze. She looked at me like she knew. She knew I'd been right to stay away. Olivia hesitated. You were. The next morning, I booked the earliest flight to Charlottesville. No more watching from a distance. No more pretending I wasn't part of the family. When I stepped out of the arrivals gate, Madison was already there. Hair tied in a messy bun, hoodie over her once-fitted rehearsal dinner dress. No makeup, eyes raw. We stared at each other for a moment. Then she walked up and threw her arms around me. I'm sorry, she whispered. I should have never shut you out. I held her tighter. You didn't. Not really. I've been here the whole time, just waiting for you to see it. Back at our parents' house, the dining room had become a war room. Legal documents stacked like dominoes. The prenup, the contract with the wedding venue, letters from the Brooks, family lawyer demanding Madison return the gifts and sign a non-disclosure agreement. They want to sue for reputational damage, Mom told us bitterly, as if they didn't orchestrate the whole damn spectacle. Madison laughed. Not a bitter laugh. A free one. Let them try. That night, the two of us sat on the back porch with mugs of tea. You know, she said softly, I thought I was marrying Ethan. But really, I was marrying his family. Their business. Their legacy. I saw it. I just didn't want to believe it. You were trying to belong, I said. We've both done that. She looked over at me. And you? Why did you really stay away? I paused, because I thought I'd ruin it, that I didn't fit, that they didn't want me there. Madison smiled, sad and knowing. I wanted you there. I just didn't know how to make space. We sat in silence a while longer. Then, without warning, she stood and said, I want to show them something. The next morning, with my help, Madison connected her lawyer to the saved live stream footage. Yes, I had downloaded the entire thing before the servers went dark. It included everything. The slideshow, the confrontation, Vanessa's admissions, Jasmine's arrival, and even the threats about the prenup. When the Brooks family reached out again to threaten defamation, our lawyer responded with one sentence, "We're happy to take this public." They backed down fast. In the end, they agreed to everything Madison requested. No return of the wedding gifts, no gag order, and a public apology letter that went out to every guest. She donated all the unused wedding gifts to a women's shelter, tore up the prenup, and moved out of the condo Ethan's family had provided. 2 months later, Madison joined me in Seattle. She took a job teaching again, this time at a progressive charter school that encouraged creativity. She dyed her hair back to its natural chestnut, enrolled in a photography course, and on Sunday nights we cooked together. Sometimes we laughed about that day. Sometimes we didn't. But every time I saw her, I saw the woman she'd almost lost trying to fit into someone else's world. And I knew, without the live stream, without the frozen frame of destruction, I might never have seen it so clearly. Sometimes watching from a distance gives you the best view of the truth. And sometimes chaos is the only way a carefully built lie finally breaks. So if you're still watching, thank you for being my witness, for seeing what I saw, and for proving that sometimes the most shattered moments are the ones that set us free. Would you like me to translate this full story into Vietnamese or begin crafting the thumbnail text and visual concept?